Last week we looked at the Black Panther skin armor. That set of gear was just one item on a big to-do list that I've been working on since I hit around level 50. Today we're going to take a look at a few more things that I've ticked off that list since I've been back playing P99. First off, I want to talk about the Trachanon Idol and the key to Charasis? I don't know. Let's just call it the Howling Stones key, because that's what it is. Both of these items are keys to endgame Kunark dungeons. The first one being the runes of old Sebilis, and the second one being Howling Stones. Both of these keys are obtained by fairly simple and straightforward quests. So I'll start off with the Howling Stones key. Over in the Swamp of No Hope, there's a tunnel in the northeastern corner that leads into the zone Trachanon's Teeth. Inside this tunnel, there is a very small cave where you can find a froglock called Dugrods. You gotta hail Dugrods to begin the quest. Go away, I don't want to work for them anymore. Go find another slave. You don't want to work for who? Dugros looks relieved and eyes you cautiously. Finally he begins to recant his tale. I was once a slave of an important Ixar necromancer. I was his Dugros, his head slave. One night I heard two other slaves talking about me. I could barely hear them, but what I did hear frightened me. My master had plans to use me one last time. He was going to sacrifice me to craft a spell component for one of his most powerful spells. Hearing this, I used my privileges as his head slave and made my escape. As the head slave, I was allowed to move freely throughout my master's compound. I came across one of the slave masters asleep in his chair, and I carefully relieved him of his keys. After I escaped, I lost myself in the depths of the swamp. I discarded all of the keys but one. I will gladly give it to you if you can do me one small favour. Dugros blinks his eyes and leans forward. He whispers so quietly that you must strain to hear him. I have taken up the same magics as my master. I require two components to complete a spell that I have been researching for quite some time. The first is a vampire fang. I've heard tales of a vampire who haunts the ruins of Kaysora. I also need a jade weapon stained by the blood of a Chocodai. Look in the Lake of Ill Omen at the Sarnak outpost. The leader used to herd Chocodai, or so I am told. For the first item, we need to go to Kaysora. This is a dungeon that can be located in the Field of Bone, and it's not a very popular place due to its very punishing layout. I have actually heard that Kaysora is a pretty decent place to get XP if you're crazy enough to come down here. I imagine this is a place that shamans and necros could probably do well in. I know as a melee class I would never come down here unless I had a mallet as a backup to escape. But I can tell you now, I have never received a tell saying, "Hey, do you want to come join a full group in Kaysora?" There are a few reasons to come here. Enchanters and mages have to come here for part of their epic quests. Ixar necromancers and shadow knights have a portion of their class quests here too. Part of the Vishan's Peak key is found down here. And of course the Howling Stones key and the Staff of Dreaded Gaze both drop from Zalgoz. But you know, there is one reason to come down here above all else. And that is to fight all the way down into the very depths of the dungeon, just so you can use this loom to do tailoring. I now dub this the Loom Room. Anyway, that's all beside the point. What we want from here is a Zalgozian Fang. This is dropped by a level 40 necromancer named Zalgoz, who spawns in the very bottom of the zone. Kaysora's level range is 30 to 40, so if you're here for the key, you should probably already be into your 50s, and therefore somewhat safe from the monsters inside. Like I briefly mentioned earlier, there's something down here that drops called the Staff of the Dreaded Gaze. This is a very rare necromancer staff that has a clickable fear spell, and it's worth quite a lot of money. So Zalgoz is almost always camped for this item in particular. The good thing about this though, is Zalgoz will always drop one fang and a second item on his loot table. That second item can be, and most often is, a second fang. All I had to do was roll up to his spawn point and ask the person camping him if I could grab a fang on the next spawn. Zalgoz is on a 30-minute respawn timer, but he does have a placeholder that can spawn instead of him. I only had to wait a few minutes before he spawned. Another player even showed up right before he popped, also looking for the fang. And luckily for both of us, he dropped two. From here you just have to figure your way back to the top of the zone without falling into one of the many traps and you're golden. The second item needed is found in the Sarnak fortress in the Lake of Ill Omen. I actually got my Jade Chocodai prod a long time ago while I was trying to get my hands on the elusive Sarnak Earring of Station. This was before Velios had even launched. The prod drops off Chancellor D. Zoc. he is a level 40 chamois, and he spawns in the main hall surrounded by a whole bunch of other Sarnak. All the mobs around here are between level 25 and 30, so even though there's a lot of them, it shouldn't really pose any threat. He has a 2-hour respawn timer, and he is quite strong for a level 40. He almost killed me when I was 51 or so. I don't know what it's like these days, but back when I was here, people used to gate in every 2 hours just to see if he'd spawn and try and snipe him and then port or log straight back out. The wiki says that the Jade Chocodile prod is only a common drop. I guess that means there's a chance that he could spawn without one. I only ever saw him the one time and he had it, so I can't really comment on this. Kill him, get the spear, and head back to the Swamp of No Hope. Give the 2 items to Dugros and he will say, "My thanks to you, Reptox. Take this key. I know not what door it opens. Now if I could just find the necklace of power that I took from my master's lair." So I think that little bit at the end there might be a reference to the Necklace of Superiority, which drops deep within the dungeon. But yeah, that's it. Now you have your key. The entrance to Howling Stones can be found down in the pit of the Over There. This place was built by Veneral Sathir as his own personal retreat, and it's where he studied and perfected the arts of necromancy. The zone is now filled with the remaining minions that he created for himself and the lingering spirit of his ancient companion, Drusilla Sathir. This is a very hardcore endgame zone. It offers very solid experience gain for any groups who can master its dangers and complexities. I hope to one day do some dungeon crawls of this zone with friends. It should make for a very entertaining experience. The second key is for Old Sebilis. Over on the southern wall of Trakanon's Teeth, there is a mausoleum. Inside it you'll find a ghost named Emperor Ganak. Hail him to begin the quest. Greetings, it has been a long time since I was aware on this plane. Who are you and what do you want from me? I wish to enter Old Sebilis. An adventurer that wishes to enter the inner city of Sebilis, you say. There are only 2 ways in. Either the glowing orb in the heart of the ruins, or via one of the tortured souls that wanders the jungles nearby. How do I use this glowing orb? The glowing orb is activated by a special key, an idol crafted to the likeness of the dread Trakanon, Reaver of Sebilis. I have this idol, and I will give it to you, but only if you give me 2 medallions representing the Ixar tribes of old. There were 5 different tribes of my people, the Kunzar, Kailong, Nathsar, Obelis, and Jarsath. Each of the tribes had a medallion that represented it. If you can return to me the medallions of the Kunzar and the Nathsar, I will give you the Idol of Trakanon. So this quest can be very easy or very difficult depending on your class. Druids, bards, and rangers excel at this, so it might be an idea to hit up a friend who has access to one of those classes. Both of the medallions that he asks for drop here in Trakanon's Teeth. The medallion of the Kunzar drops off of a Froglock Forager, and the medallion of the Nathsar drops off a Froglock Hunter. Both of these mobs roam as soon as they spawn. This is what makes it difficult. The Hunter and the Forager are on 2 independent spawn tables with several different placeholders each. There's always 1 quest mob up or 1 placeholder up for each frog. Once the quest mob or their placeholder is killed, another mob from the same spawn table will spawn immediately. The spawn location, however, is picked at random from several possible locations. Although all of these locations are random, they are usually somewhat in the same vicinity. This is what makes classes who can track so invaluable for this quest. The Foragers usually spawn in the southern side of the zone, and the Hunters usually spawn past the river on the northern side of the zone. As soon as the frogs or their placeholders spawn, they'll start to roam. I got my buddy Port Please to help me out with these guys. He was an absolute boss at doing this, and he found them both within minutes. Both of the Hunter and the Forager are level 45 warriors, but I would not recommend trying to solo this as a melee class unless you have really good gear or you're a much higher level. They have almost 6,000 health each, and they can double attack, hitting up to 135 damage per attack. Thankfully, they will always drop the medallions when they're killed. Once you have both the medallions, head back to Ganak and hand them in. You have returned to me 2 medallions of my people. In return, I will give you this key to enter the ruins of Sebilis. Be wary though, for Trakanon, scourge of the Sebilisian Empire, resides within. And there you go, now you have the key. So, Old Sebilis is the ancient capital of the Ixar Empire. It was founded long ago by Emperor Veneral Sathir, but it has been since destroyed by Trakanon, who now resides deep within its ruins. During the Kunark expansion, this zone pretty much offered the best loot and experience in the game for pre-raid content. It's a very popular place for players 55 to 60. Lots of high value items, spells and gems drop in here, so it's also a place that people come to make money. I'm really looking forward to spending a lot of time here in the future. I want to learn the ins and outs of the zone, and hopefully one day I'll be able to make an entire video about it. So there's another item that's been on my to-do list for quite a while. It's called the Worker's Sledge Mallet, or some people call it the OT Hammer. This is a two-handed hammer usable by all classes and all races. At level 50, the mallet will proc a teleport to the over there in combat. This is what it means when you see people saying, "Can I mallet off you?" or "I will hammer out." A lot of the times, one player will let another player duel them so that they can proc the mallet by attacking their fellow player. Like I mentioned last week too, if you're lucky enough to have access to the Eye of Zom, you can also attack that to get a chance to proc the mallet. This item is a very invaluable tool for everyone, but especially for melee characters who don't have access to any form of gate spell. Once again, this can be very simple to acquire for some people, but for other people, it can prove to be a bit more challenging. The quest in its entirety goes like this. Over in the docks of the outpost in the over there is an undead foreman. If you hail him to start this quest, the foreman turns to face you. You can see a faint green glow emanating from his vacant eye sockets. "Are you a new worker? Huh? Speak or go." Too much flesh. "If you want to work, you must first fill my eye sockets with my favourite gem. This shall be your payment for your sledgehammer." All you have to do is give him a single jade. The undead foreman places the gem deep within his hollow eye socket. He pulls a giant sledgehammer from thin air and hands it to you. "Here, you shall be assigned to the lower decks of the Scaled Trident." You receive the Worker's Sledge Mallet. Alright, so like I said, super simple. The only problem is you need to be amiable with the Veneral Sathir faction in order to do this quest. That means sneak won't work because that only takes you to indifferently. Having an enchanter or a necro charm him also won't work because unless you're the one that casts this charm, that will also only take you to indifferently. The Veneral Sathir faction is a pretty bunk faction to try and raise. Evil-aligned races start out at apprehensively here. Good races and Ixars, on the other hand, don't have that luck. I started out as threateningly. Now that was before I slaughtered thousands of monsters that are on the Veneral Sathir faction table. Those ogres I killed back when I was level 20 in Timeless Deep, they lowered my VS faction. Killing basically anything in Kaysora will lower your VS faction. And then the big one, Karnor's Castle. Every mob in that place lowers VS faction. I've even killed Veneral Sathir himself. With all that said, there is a way to raise VS faction. You can do a quest called Protect the Shipyard, where you have to hand in 4 Sarnak Warbraids to Captain Rockgrime. These Warbraids apparently have a 100% chance to drop off the Sarnak Berserkers in the over there. According to a table in the wiki, I would need to hand this quest in 295 times to go from threateningly to amiable. That equals 1,180 Warbraids. And like I said, I'm well past threateningly at this point. I'm Scowls ready to attack. My faction cannot get any lower. Obviously, I didn't use this option. This is where puppet strings come in. Khazak Thul, the god of fear, also one of the available deities that players can choose to worship when creating their character, he used to drop an item called puppet strings. The Plane of Fear has since been revamped and the puppet strings got moved off of his loot table and onto the loot table of the 3 golems that guard his temple. They're still no joke to kill either though. The puppet strings are a clickable item from your inventory. They have 10 charges and they let you cast a Lure, which is a level 49 enchanted charm spell. Charm will take you to amiable as long as you're the one who cast the charm. This is the only way to do it. Puppet strings, unfortunately, are worth about 200,000 platinum each. Luckily, there are a bunch of players out there who sell a single charge of the puppet strings for the exact purpose of getting OT hammers to other players. Mine came in a nice little package. It cost me around 2,000 platinum. I met the guy at the foreman. He gave me the puppet strings and the jade. He rooted the foreman. He hit me with a charisma buff and he mallowed the foreman. Both of these things increased the chance that the charm would land. Then all I had to do was run up, right click the strings, hand over the jade. The whole thing took me about 30 seconds and I had my very own Worker's Sledge Mallet. Now with this thing, I can go down into difficult dungeons like the Hole and Kaysora, and I don't have to worry about never finding my way out. It's a real game changer. There is one last thing, however, that I do want to show off in this video, and this is the ultimate game changer. Some of the more keen-eyed viewers may have noticed me wearing this at the end of the last video. So for the last 2 and a bit years, I have been saving every scrap of money that I've gathered. Even when I wasn't even actively playing, I would log in every now and then and I would just grind a little bit of money here and there, all with one goal, to finally get my own fungus covered scale tunic. Now I know a lot of people are probably going to say, you have your Seb key now, why don't you just go down, get a king group and get one yourself? Well, I'm not ready for that just yet, and I've wanted to earn my own fungi tunic since I created my monk. It's right up there with character goals next to my epic, which coincidentally I'm not that far away from now either. The fungus covered scale tunic is a chest piece that when worn has the effect fungal regrowth, which is a plus 15 hit point per tick regen. It also stacks with regen spells such as chloroplast and regrowth, as well as bard regen songs. It's an absolute game changer for all the classes that can wear it, and it's especially good for Ixar monks as it complements their already high racial health regen bonus. The value of fungi tunics seems to have held fairly consistently on P99 over the years. It seems to fluctuate between 40 and 50,000 platinum. I was trying to pick one up for 42k when I first got back, but after a week or so of no luck, I decided to go grind the extra 3k and ended up buying mine for 45. So this, plus all my new armor and my mallet, has opened up so many opportunities for me to explore the game. I also now have the ability to solo my way to level 60 if I really want to. This can be handy when I just want to jump on in the evening and there's no one around, there's no groups. It means I'm still able to go get some XP by myself, whereas I used to just have to kind of sit around and twiddle my thumbs. Now before I get the inevitable comments that I always seem to get, no, I don't already have a fungi tunic. I was loaned one when I was level 15, and I had it for a few weeks until I hit level 31, and then I gave it back to the person that I'd borrowed it from. That was also all the way back in 2013, so it's been a very long time since I've had access to one. Alright, I think I'm going to wrap this one up here. I still have a few more upgrades that I've gotten since I've started playing again, and I will feature those in upcoming videos. I've been getting more and more awesome stuff recorded in the game over the past few months, so there's lots of exciting videos to look forward to in the future. I've had a few people comment asking if I would do any videos starting brand new characters, and it's kind of given me this idea to make a new tune and do some simplistic ad-lib style videos as opposed to these big scripted main series videos that I do. The idea being that I could just jump on, mess around on said character for a bit, record whatever I did and then upload it without doing any editing. Kind of like how the first 8 videos with my monk were. I didn't script any of those, and they were just me kind of talking to you guys as I played. This would essentially be filler content that I could put onto the channel while I make these big scripted videos that take a long time. Anyway, it's just an idea at this point. I haven't committed to anything. I was kind of thinking I'd mess around with a wizard, just because I've never really played one before, but realistically I could do it with any characters, or even multiple random characters, as long as the content was interesting and engaging to watch. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about it. I'd love to hear your opinion on some potential filler videos like that. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time.